All right, we're going to talk about MVX blood test and the benefits of running it. The MVX test is actually called MVX Plus. The MVX Plus test has 6 factors in it that give you information regarding your physiology. So when you're testing with regular blood tests and medical tests, etc., they're looking for pathology and they're looking for risk factors. And there's a thing about risk factors that some people may not know about. It's called the U-shaped curve. So if your hand looks like this, okay, and then the risk factor, let's say it's LDL, it could be blood pressure, it could be weight, it could be ApoB. A lot of risk factors are in this U-shaped curve. What that means is when your risk factor is low, you're going to live longer. But if your risk factor goes up, you're going to die sooner. And if your risk factor goes too low, you die sooner. So mortality is up here. Okay, this is the U-shaped curve. So as long as your risk factor is here, then you'll live longer. But if your risk factor goes too high or too low, then you die sooner. So that's the problem with the U-shaped curves of risk factors. So it's known now that if you put in the factors of malnutrition, if you put in the math of malnutrition for these risk factors, then it becomes a flat line. So then your risk factors such as LDL, ApoB, and weight, blood pressure, all that stuff, as it goes up, it gets worse and worse and worse, right? So therefore, the risk factor is a legitimate measurement, but only when you do the math of malnutrition. So the malnutrition now is in this test called MVX. This MVX Plus blood test was released January 6, 2025. It's brand new. It's a whole new opportunity to reshape all of medicine. It's going to be a revolution. I already have at least dozens of doctors doing it. It got released because of me. I learned about MVX a year ago, May of 2024. And there was a video that got put out on YouTube. I watched it. It's about MVX. I watched it 10 times now. And in medicine, they use MVX to measure longevity. And they use it with people who are sick, chronic, heart disease, kidney disease, cancer, liver transplant, et cetera, et cetera. And they never thought that you could use MVX and measure health, not just longevity, but the physiology of health and lack of health. And that's a syndrome. A syndrome is a predictable series of events that occur over and over again in a particular arena. Let's say the arena is the health of the human body. So a syndrome is like, there's this it's called the metabolic malnutrition inflammation complex syndrome. Okay, so this is a new term. I'm going to say it again. It's called the malnutrition inflammation complex syndrome, MICS. Now this syndrome describes how the physiology plummets as people get sicker and sicker and they're heading towards death. Now, over the last 100 years, there's been many other words for this syndrome. It's been called lactic acidosis, and it's been called sugar acidosis. It's called frailty. It's called protein energy wasting disease. Sarcopenia is another one. And it just, over the decades, it's been given, different names because people saw parts of it. They saw, muscle wasting, and they saw people's becoming more frail, falling down, breaking their hip. And they saw people getting like tired, chronic fatigue, and then their immune system gets overrun, let's say with candida, for example, or chronic infections, green bacteria, green mucus coming out when they cough and stuff like that. This is just a syndrome. So it's a decline in your immune system. It's a decline in your mitochondrial function. It's all about mitochondria. And so these 6 factors in MVX, they measure the causes of mitochondrial dysfunction. And so I'm going to list them out to you right now. So we got number 1 is called glycate. That's inflammation and infection. And number 2 is small HCl particle count, and that has to do with toxicity and liver function. Number 3 is citrate, and that has to do with mitochondrial function. That's like you've heard of the citric acid cycle, also known as the Krebs cycle. So that is your energy production. And then the last three are valine, leucine, and isoleucine, and those are amino acids. And those measure digestion, diet, assimilation of proteins, cachexia, which is when your body's not using your food very well and you're losing weight even though you eat enough calories. So these are big topics. You know, this is like big picture thinking when it comes to healthcare and improving your health. So, anyways, regardless of all that, MVX Plus measures these 6 factors. Then you get a score, which is fantastic, 1 to 100. And this test has been studied on 30,000 people by the NIH, so it's not, it's like really well studied. And so, and I'll get to comments later here, I'm sorry. So 30,000 people, yeah. And what they did is they took these blood tests and they put them into a repository of information. And they, 5 years later, 8 years later, people died. And they looked back and they looked at their numbers and they said, oh, okay, so your glyc was too high, for example, or something else was too low. And then they started creating these mathematical equations to figure out these, some numbers and scores. So when I first ran MVX, that was January 13th, my score was 55, which is terrible. And I felt terrible because I had a gas leak at my house right here. And I was breathing in gas for at least a year and I couldn't smell it. But it was outside at the gas meter. So sometimes the wind would blow into the house, sometimes it wouldn't. And anybody who has ever been at my house never smelled it. So, anyways, I found that gas leak December 7th and I fixed it. But I had terrible chest pain and lung pain. As a matter of fact, May 18th of 2024, I went to the hospital, went to the ER with high blood pressure, crushing chest pain, left arm numb, left leg numb, and thought I was having strokes. And I had no idea what was going on. And at the hospital, they found nothing. They kicked me out after 5 hours. They did a CT scan of my brain. They found nothing. They charged me $10,000. That's with the cash discount because I don't have health insurance. And and I wanted blood pressure drugs. I've been in the natural healthcare world since 1993. And I went to the ER wanting blood pressure drugs. I wanted them to find something. But they were ethical in that they didn't find anything that they could help me with. And they said I wasn't qualified for blood pressure drugs. So long story short, within 10 days, I started high doses of B1. And in 2 weeks, I was 95% better. And I did okay all summer and fall. Then I found the gas leak that was causing all this December 7th. So then I took my first MVX test January 13th, and my score was 55. And I felt terrible, like lung pain, heart pain, couldn't really exercise very well. But I didn't change anything for the next 4 weeks, just I wasn't breathing in gas. And then my next score was 31. It dropped 24 points in 4 weeks. So in my third test, I had a sinus infection. And I didn't know about it until the next morning when I woke up, but I got my blood drawn. And the sinus infection raised my MVX from 31 up to 39. And then my fourth test, it dropped down to 29 because I got rid of the sinus infection. So my next test is tomorrow morning, 8:30, and hopefully it's lower than 29. The point is get your MVX test lower and keep working on your health. So this test is great that you can measure if what you're doing is worthwhile. Is it really is it lowering your MVX score? So whatever diet you're doing, you could do like an MVX test, now, and then work on your diet, like cut out all the processed food, and then 1 month later redo MVX and see if your score came down. I have a patient, she was eating bad food for a month, and her score went up from 60 to 64. And 60 is not a good score to begin with, but in 4 weeks she raised it up 4 points. So I emailed her. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, we went on vacation, and ate bad food, drank too much alcohol, and then came home, celebrated her anniversary." And it's like, "Yeah, stop." She goes, "I don't know what to do with my diet." And I said, "Well, just stop eating bad food. Only eat fruit, vegetables, and meat, and then drink water, coffee, tea. That's it." And so we'll see what her follow-up is. But that's an example of how diet can be reflected upon the MVX score. So if you want to try carnivore, do the MVX test before and after. If you want to try vegan, do the MVX test before and after. If you have a supplement that you think is great, take the supplement and test MVX before and after. Don't change anything else. Don't change your exercise routine. Don't change your diet. Just take that supplement. Like if you're doing a detox program or if you're doing a parasite cleanse, do the MVX test before and after. And you can do it. Let's say your parasite cleanse takes 3 months or 6 months. You can do the MVX test every single month. It's really cheap. So if you buy it from my office through my website, which anybody can, you don't have to be a patient. It's $89. As of this week, I mean, last week it was $135, but they keep dropping the price, so we're able to drop the price, which is fantastic. I love saying that. Yeah, $89 it is the best test in all of medicine right now. It's better than your lipid panel. It's better than thyroid panel. It's better, liver enzymes, CBC, complete blood count. And when you get your annual physical done, you should get the MVX Plus test and get your score 1 to 100. So like I said, mine was at 55 in January. Now it's 29. And that's the whole point, is you make your score go down and then you live longer. And there's a graph. I can pull up the graph. Let me see if I can get this quickly. Longevity, MVX, here it is right here. All right, cool. So sorry on TikTok, I can't show you this graph, but it's covering up my face right now. On the other platforms, I can open this up to. I'll just keep it up like this. Hopefully you can see my cursor, but the point is, over here on the left or at the bottom, we have the years 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the right side we have the MVX score. If your score is 35, you cross all the way over to the left, and you see your chance of dying is like 3% in the next 5 years, and that's it. It's only 3%. But if your score is 55, then your chance of dying is 20%. And it's a cumulative mortality rate, and that's what it says all the way to the left, cumulative mortality incidence. So let me blow this up. If you're looking this on your phone, I can make it bigger for you. But if your score is 75, oh my gosh, now you're in trouble. Your cumulative mortality incidence is 60%. Now, it sounds scary, and this is a turnoff for some people because it's so real. I've had people afraid of running this test because it's so real. The numbers are right there. They tested this on 30,000 people, as opposed to LDL cholesterol. Of people who their LDL is high and they live to be 100, right? Or they smoke cigarettes and they live to be 100. Like George Burns, the actor from a long time ago, he was 105 when he died. He smoked like 20 cigars a day. And there are people who don't exercise and they live to be 100. That's not really a risk factor. So my grandmother, she died at 98. She didn't exercise. Okay, but there is one thing in common when people die from chronic illness. There is one thing everybody has, no matter what. There are no exceptions, and it is dysfunctional biochemistry of the mitochondria. And that's what MVX measures. It gets to the core better than any other blood test, period. End of story. It is the best test. Now, I'm not dismissing other tests. If you have anemia and you do a CBC and you need iron, or if you have high ferritin, hemochromatosis, then you need to donate blood or whatever, it's still important for you. And if your thyroid is completely messed up and you need thyroid hormone or you need some thyroid support, go for it. And that, and those could help your MVX score. It ultimately comes down to, what does it take to drop your MVX score? Now, there was a test done at Duke University regarding statin drugs, and they lowered people's LDL cholesterol, and it did not lower their MVX. And I'm not surprised at that at all. I'm going to drop this so you can see my face again. That seems to be a bit better. Okay, but the things that you do to lower your MVX score is right here in my 7-step blueprint to optimal health. And I figured this out over the course of my career. And I created this graphic in 2018. And it lines up with the MVX like step by step. It's amazing how the 6 factors of MVX measure chronic illness. And then the 7-step blueprint fixes chronic illness. And it's all about repairing the mitochondrial function by cleansing, detox, cleanse. That's what it comes down to. That, and then you nourish. So people, when they want to improve their health, the first thing they do is they go buy some kind of a supplement, right? Like a vitamin C. Okay, great. Fine. That's good. Calcium, magnesium, creatine powder, enzymes. And I sell all this stuff. It's fine. Totally great. But you have to detox first. Even before that, you have to get the parasites out first. Parasites harbor all the toxins, all the Lyme, all the candida, all the mold. So you're trying to get rid of these organisms, but yet you have parasites in your body. What's the point? And this is, the lessons learned in my 30-year career of trying to help people with diet and supplements only. I don't do any shots, IV, ozone, hormones, drugs, over-the-counter drugs, prescription drugs. It's only diet and supplements. So how do you get rid of parasites? Somebody asked me on TikTok. Para 1 and Para 2, these are products from Cellcore Biosciences. And then Para 3 and Para 4, also supplements from Biosciences. So let me show you about MVX and how it predicts longevity. Okay, I just showed you that one graph, but before MVX, before it came out, people measured longevity right here. So when you look at this graph, it's at the very top. Okay, it's got these bar. Follow me on TikTok. It's a bar graph, and then it shows you what percent of these factors, what percent do they contribute to the math of longevity. So age obviously is like the biggest factor for how long you're going to live. So before MVX came out, age was 28% of the math of determining how long you're going to live. The next biggest factor was kidney disease at about 27%, and then heart failure, 16%, and then diabetes is about 7%, smoking 4 or 5%, hypertension 5%, BMI 5%, and then below that you got prior heart attack, total cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL, race and gender. And notice LDL is not even on this list. I mean, it's crazy. The cardiologists, they love their LDL, right? They're clutching the pearls of LDL, like, they're on a sinking ship, but they're going to save this pearl necklace that's called LDL, So, okay, this is before MVX was ever released. And so now I'm going to show you the after. Oh my gosh. Let me find, there it is, this. Longevity after MVX. Here we go. Okay, so now MVX is 70 or 69% of the math of determining longevity. That's how important MVX is. And you can see that at the top of this graph where it's kind of pink. And then the next major factor is age, obviously, right? But yet it's only like 17% of the math of determining longevity. Heart failure is at 13%, kidney disease at 12%. Why is it this way? It's because MVX measures the physiology of how your body's functioning. Whereas if you get a diagnosis of kidney disease, heart failure, heart attack, you're not measuring physiology, you're measuring pathology. Huge difference. And you're measuring risk factors. Huge difference. Risk factors are like a joke now. You still don't want to smoke and you still want to do healthy things, but it has to be deep enough. It has to go deep enough. So what form of vitamin B1 for heart health? That's benfotiamine, without a doubt, benfotiamine. So there was an experiment with people exercising, and this is at Duke University. So they had 4 groups of people. One was a control, another one was light exercise, and then moderate exercise, exercise and then heavy exercise. And at the end of 8 months, it did not improve MVX for any of the groups. Exercise does not make you live longer. I'm not saying don't exercise. It makes you feel good, and it can like help you. And in this test, people were lowering their insulin resistance and they were lowering their blood sugar, which is great, right? Like it's good, but that's not deep enough. Like you have to change your physiology. And like I think ketosis is really important. And as a matter of fact, of the 6 factors of MVX, ketones were used to be one of the factors, but they decided it wasn't even that wasn't strong enough. So, so let me jump over to benefits of MVX. So I'm just gonna run through a list, like on how to use it and how you can make it revolutionize your own personal health. So I kind of give you the background on it. But so as a summary, find the cause, rate your health, rate your therapies, predict your improvement, and discover and increase your longevity. Use it as a report card on your doctor's therapies. Are they actually improving your health? So if you have, you're going to start a new medication or something, take MVX, get the blood test done, and then start your therapy, start your medication, and then 4 weeks later or 8 weeks later, redo MVX and see if you're better. Your score has to come down. If it doesn't come down, then you're not better. Okay, use it as a report card on your supplements and your diet. I already talked about that. And then you can use MVX as a guide. So if your glyc-A is too high, that means you have infection and inflammation. If your small HDL particle count is too low, that means you have toxicity. If your citrate is too high or too low, it means you need B1 and other mitochondrial nutrients. And then the last 3 factors are called branched chain amino acids. And if they're too high, also you need B1, and you need to digest your food better. And there's, supplements for that. It could be gallbladder, could be liver, stomach, pituitary, small intestine, like SIBO, H. pylori, large intestine. And that's where the holistic doctors come in. And so if the amino acids are too high or too low, you have to fix your digestion and take B1. So that's how and it's measuring inflammation, infection, toxicity, malnutrition, and mitochondrial dysfunction. Like these are the 7-step blueprint that I've figured out. So it is the first blood test to really determine malnutrition. So I've been in this nutrition practice for since 1998. Been studying it since 1993. This is the first test that really gives you the diagnosis of malnutrition. And I've been saying this now to patients for like 3 weeks. You're malnourished. And I was with a new patient and her brother, and they're in their 50s or 60s. And I said to her, you're malnourished. It shows right on the MVX test. And he, was like pointing her out like, yeah, you eat sugar. You don't eat enough meat. Like he knows it. And then I say, yeah, it sounds like he's right. Because I can see it in the test. Too much sugar, not enough meat. Now, and this is one thing about MVX too, is like it absolutely abolishes any argument that meat is bad. Because when people don't eat enough meat, you can see it in MVX and it raises their score up. And the other thing is when you don't eat enough meat, you end up eating sugar because it's convenient food, your blood sugar is crashing, you go for something quick, and usually that's high carb. Now you spike your blood sugar up, so then you get that roller coaster all day, up and down, high blood sugar, low blood sugar. You end up with diabetes. That's from a deficiency of meat. So meat and protein, that's the most important macronutrient. MVX proves that. So MVX is better than is better for predicting longevity than VO2 max, fitness, how much exercise you do, telomere length, and all kinds of other tests that people have. And I found out about a blood test. It's a collection of tests where it's called the Dunedin score. Let me see if I can find that in my Yeah, and Dunedin. Oh my gosh, my computer's going real slow. The Dunedin Pace True Age. And so it's like a competition. And there's a guy named Brian Johnson, I think his name. And he's a billionaire trying to live long. I don't know why somebody want to live long, but and he's like the number one guy because his cells are aging very, very slowly. And they're aging like zero point 0.6 years per year of life or something like that. And so I looked into getting this test run, and it's $1,000, which is, some people can't afford that. Just run MVX. It's $89. And that's going to give you, well, possibly a better look at your longevity and your health. So, anyways, let me go through some more stuff, then I'll answer questions. But so MVX is available through LabCorp. It's a national company, thousands and thousands of employees. There's labs all over the place. There's like 20 labs in Detroit area where I'm at. And it's international too, but MVX is not available internationally on LabCorp. And I've been sending them messages, hey, make this internationally available, please, for everybody else. So, so let's see. I think I have that. I think I've finished all the notes I wanted to go over. So let's talk about let's go through some of your questions. Boom. Okay, here we go. Yeah, everybody should get this, and you get it yearly at least. If you're actively on a program to improve your health, then do it monthly. Yeah, Cool Burns says, I wish you were consistently on YouTube. Yeah, me too. I got a job though. I see patients 3 days a week, but in a couple weeks, I'm cutting that down to 2 days a week. And I'm not working on my tan. I'm just trying to get out in the sun more. I'm not trying to, and I don't tan at all, really. I burn a lot, but thanks. Will my primary care physician perform this test? If not, where do we get it? You get it from LabCorp. 123601 is the reference number for MVX Plus. Just ask for MVX Plus 123601. Okay, so did I just get kicked off? Oh no, not yet. Okay, we're still going. But if your doctor refuses to run it, then you can go to my website, thenhcaa.com, upper right corner, click on MVX test, and fill out that form, thenhcaa.com. So you can get it that way, $89. Okay. Could lactic acidosis be caused by chronic stress, spiking cortisol? No. Stress does not cause lactic acidosis. Only external factors like mold and toxins and terrible diet. Huge stress caused me to lose muscle, later B1 deficiency. Maybe bicarb has helped. My doctor says lactic acidosis can be from epinephrine. Bujerella, maybe you're right. Maybe. But I've never seen that. I mean, I personally never felt stress until I had mold toxicity in 2016. And I had terrible stress before that, but I never felt it. And so, like lactic acidosis, the main symptom is tightening in the chest. Whether it's a breathing symptom or a heart symptom or a digestive symptom, it's a tightening. Anxiety. The word anxiety means tightness or tightening. What is the opinion of British osteopaths? I don't know. I've never met one. Will MVX help pinpoint if you're colonized with mold or currently exposed? No. It'll pinpoint only infection and inflammation. Then you have to dig further into figuring out what is your problem. And then you can use IgG, Ig antibodies, etc. Yeah, but so MVX gives you this 30,000 viewpoint, like you're in a plane, you're looking down at everything. And then it directs you, is it toxicity? Because I've had people where I knew they had, let's say, Lyme disease, and I fixed it, and they were better. But then we ran MVX, and I missed the toxicity, the metals and the chemicals, right? Whereas other people, I've been detoxing them for a long time, but they still have inflammation. So MVX tells me where to pivot. And that's one thing about healthcare in general. And this is a big concept for a lot of people, where you're looking for the diagnosis, right? Like, definitely medicine is trying to find the diagnosis. And even the holistic medical doctors that I love, they're trying to find the diagnosis. But it doesn't work that way because there's my 7-step blueprint has many factors and you have to go through all of them to be healthy. So you got to get the parasites out, you got to get the metals, chemicals, lime out. You have to make sure the organs are working well. You got to make sure your mitochondria are well nourished. So it's many, many factors every time. What KOCOK? As a LabCorp employee, I will bring this up to my leaders. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Thank you very much. Recently, I started taking thiamine, bethyltiamine, TTFD. I eat low carb keto. Hubby and I are in our early 50s, feel great. Just ordered your test. We appreciate your information. You're welcome, Wild Iris Farm. So check this out. I have a woman, she's 68, and a man, he's 72. They're married. And I got their MVX scores. Their score, his is 22 and hers is 27. And I emailed them. I was like, what are you doing? Like, your health is amazing. And he sent me this whole, like, many paragraphs of, like, what they're doing. They've just been at their health for, like, 20 years, you know, detoxing and taking supplements, and they're doing all the good things that you know how to do. So it's like, kudos, man. Like, your age is, you know, 67 and 72, but your body is like, you're so healthy. It's so great to see that. So let me go to TikTok. I'm gonna answer some questions. I get a lot of questions here on TikTok. I guess I'm gonna start in the back. The goal of MVX is to heal the mitochondria. Yeah. Okay. TikTok sent. It's like TikTok sending me more messages. Okay. I can't see. Yeah, sorry on TikTok you can't see the graph. Hi. It's only on the bigger platforms. I can't do MVX. I can't do TikTok with my streaming platform, which is called Ecamm Live. So my advice on mold toxicity and heavy metal toxicity: detox. And if you're in a moldy place, you got to move out. 100%. You got to move out of that place or fix it. And I've tried with patients who are living in a moldy house, and they don't ever get better. And same with me. I was in a moldy office, and I discovered the mold October of 2016. I couldn't move out until July of 2018. So I was in there for a year and a half, taking my pills, but I would walk in there, and the air was just real thick and dense and terrible. And especially if it rained and it was humid outside, the air inside the building was just so thick with mold and mycotoxins. Oh my gosh, what a mess. And you know, like the spores in the air. And once I moved into the new office, then I started to feel better. Now the supplements did help me while I was still in the moldy office. So don't, you know, you can start now, even though if you're living in a moldy place. But it took about 6 months. What I would do, let's say, okay, I had an essential lavender oil, like in a little canister like this. And I would go like this, get some on my finger, and I'd go like that under my nose. And on my chest pain, I'd do this 6-7 times every day to try to ease the chest pain from the mold. And it took me 6 months to be able to stop that once I moved into the new office. Can you know, it's terrible. Chest pain, heart pain is just a terrible thing. I don't wish it on anybody. Heavy metal toxicity, you got to detox that stuff. I got all kinds of courses on my page, on my YouTube website. You can become a patient in the office. I'm in Ann Arbor. Can I do the heart sound rate monitor with a bicuspid aortic valve and taking BP meds? Yeah, you can do the heart sound monitor for that. Heart sound recorder. Yeah. Do non-holistic doctors text MVX? So here's a question, Laura. Do non-holistic doctors test MVX? The answer is no, because the only people that test MVX are the people that have learned from me. Because I've been teaching doctors how to do it. As a matter of fact, 1 week ago, I was in a big symposium in Boise, Idaho, and there were 900 doctors, 900 people in the audience, in the room, and 800 people live stream, so 1,700 people. And I told them, run MVX, here's why, and all this stuff. I talked for 45 minutes. So would non-holistic doctors ever run MVX? I hope so. And I think it should be part of their annual physical. And maybe if I get in front of RFK Jr., and he can make that mandatory through Medicare and Medicaid. That's my goal. I got to get in front of RFK Jr. Do you treat lime mold, and Bartonella? I do. I use herbs for that. Herbs work so much better than drugs. I need a rife machine. um, call RFK. I know I can't call him. I don't have his number. So Don Mariel Hoffman, I need a rife machine. I'm gonna show you something really cool. Look at this watch. This watch is a rife machine. It's called Nikki, Nikki, and it was developed by a guy he had 3 adult children, all with Lyme, and they were like terribly sick. And he said within 6 weeks they're all better using this watch. This watch is going to be featured on a Netflix documentary coming up later this year. And then this watch will be sold at Best Buy. And Best Buy, it usually takes a year to get your product into the Best Buy shelves to be sold. But they are fast pacing this watch. Best Buy is going to get this on there as soon as they can because of the Netflix documentary coming up on this watch. Nikki, Nikki. Search Nikki watch. Tell them I said hi. I don't have a referral link or something. Best supplements for nitric oxide, and without having to always take. There's no nitric oxide product that you don't always have to take it, because nitric oxide is depleted within an hour. You take it and it's gone. And if you're trying to add nitric oxide all the time, you're missing the boat. You have toxicity you need to get rid of. And it could be an infection, parasites, something else is going on. So don't be chasing nitric oxide. That is it's a marketing, it's a clinical discovery, but it won't persist in our culture, in our holistic culture. It's not going to persist. Can severe brain inflammation from mold Lyme heal? Yeah, you can heal that. Yeah, for sure. Ivermectin, your thoughts? I like ivermectin. And when they banned it during COVID, I loved it even more. Best for ED treatment herbs. I mean, you got to fix your physiology. You got to fix your hormones. You got to fix your organs and glands. I mean, if you want to treat ED, the drugs work better than the herbs, but there's a product from Standard Process called Orchex. And there's a product, another one from Standard Process called Orchic. But yeah, I mean, for herbs, there's, I don't know, I have 3 of them, 2 or 3 herbs. And I don't use them because I fixed the cause. Cataplex E2 from Standard Process, also decent for ED. How do I heal brain fog and depression from long COVID? Don't make me say the COVID word. I can't say that word. They'll take this video down. How do you heal brain fog and depression from that? So typically it's a thick blood problem, and there's you could try the enzymes, lumbrokinase in high doses on an empty stomach is the first place to go. And then go deeper as far as detoxing parasites and metals too. But lumbrokinase. And then what's his name? I forgot his name. He's the guy that, he's the most cited researcher. He's got 82,000 citations in PubMed. I can't believe I'm speaking, I can't remember his name. So in August, I'm on stage in front of 200 medical doctors. He's also going to be at that same symposium. But he created a product with enzymes for long COVID. Simplex M is decent, but it's not as potent as Orchex for ED, but long term, it can definitely help. How to heal from chronic mold. I already talked about that. Biotoxin Binder is the best product for mold. I took 2 pills a day for 7 years. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my other platforms here. TikTok. Bear with me for a moment while I go to these questions. This Corey, thanks to an Elliot Overton. I've been taking high dose B1 and seeing huge benefit. Still on hydrochloric acid, but starting benfo soon. I suspect mold and infection started my downfall. Yeah, B1 is amazing. And nobody really talks about it. There's about 5 people on YouTube that talk about it. Me, Elliot Overton, a guy named Dr. Peterson, a Chinese guy, and Dr. Berg. and everybody should be talking about it. And like supplement companies don't pay anybody to talk about it. And I've been a speaker for many supplement companies, but nobody has a B1 product because everybody has a B1 product. You know what I'm saying? Like now brand, like the wholesale discount vitamin suppliers, they have B1. But as far as like specialty, more expensive products, they don't have a B1. But there's a lot of people, I'll put them on B1 at the beginning of their program with me when they're a new patient. And then it's amazing how much better they do in a couple weeks. Laura says submit to be a guest on Joe Rogan. I don't know, like you just submit. Is that how you do it? Just let me take a note on that. I'm gonna write it down, Laura. Submit to be a guest on Joe Rogan. I will do that. I have a list of like 12 or 15 other podcasts and big YouTube channels I'm going to get on and talk about MVX. So MVX score should be linked to monetary reward. That's a really good idea, Ken. That might wake up us herd animals. Yeah, MVX score. The lower your score, the lower your health insurance premium. Boom. Yeah. Is biocidin good for mold as well as chronic infections? It is. But again, remember you got the whole program to do. You got detoxing. Yeah, biocidin is great. How do you use the oxygen liquid in the dental product you have? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, McCullough, Mr. Rudy, Peter McCullough. Yeah, he's got his own well-researched enzyme detox long COVID product. Chlorine dioxide is interesting. It is interesting, and I think it's banned. That's why it's interesting. I can't sell it. I won't sell it. But if you use it, and I've had people use it on their own because they bought it somewhere else online, it can do some wonders. What it take for gum issue, teeth work, but then if you need to fix your gums and your teeth, you have to go on a carnivore diet. And there are supplements like from Standard Process, Cataplex ACP, and Ceruta Plus, and it heals up the tissues and it acts like glue. Whole food vitamin C acts like glue so that your tissues go like this. And they're still flexible at the same time, right? Like scar tissue goes like that. But real tissue, healthy tissue goes like this, and it can flex. Whole food vitamin C, not ascorbic acid, not 2,000 milligrams of ascorbic acid. But you get whole food vitamin C from Standard Process. I have a website called Mother Nature Shop. It's for non-patients, and you can get Standard Process at a lower price than Amazon. So, yeah. Will MVX testing be available in other countries? I'm working on that. Other people are working on that too. Never heard any info on what to do with histoplasmosis, which is mold, histoplasmosis, right? But I've felt since 2021 in my lungs. Yeah, you breathe it in. You got to detox that out. I had a patient once, she was in Florida. She bought an RV and drove it to Cleveland, and she got histoplasmosis driving the RV because it was in like Albuquerque and it got a mold issue in the ventilation. Or if you have bats in your attic, right, and they're pooping and then the mold grows on their poop, that's histoplasmosis. Elaine Gage, hi Dr. Schmidt, that Nikki watch, does it only get rid of Lyme? No, it has other programs. Look, or does it detox other things? Yes. Does it heal mitochondria? Yes. Vagus nerve? Yes. Respiratory? Yes. Sports recovery? Yes. Sleep enhancement? Yes. He's got all these programs. It's not cheap. It's like whatever, $500 for the watch, and the Lyme program's $1,000. And I mean, you can buy Rife machines way cheaper and have as good results. But remember, it's the nutrition. You got to get into the biochemistry. It's the nutrition that really does the work. Okay. But when I had when I had the gas leak, back in like January and February, I kind of relied on this watch. And I think I loved it, and it could have been placebo. I could just be delusional about that, but I still wear it. And I turn on I turn on the different programs that I want for the day. Okay. MVX will indicate if B1 is necessary, right? Yeah, Jeff Abbott, it does. And it measures that through citrate and the three branched chain amino acids. So if those last three amino acids in your panel are too high or too low, you need B1. I tried B1 Thiamex and it made me crash energy. Do I keep with it? So it crashed your energy because you probably need some magnesium or other mitochondrial support, or you need a detox. So start with a lower dose of B1. Even take that Thiamex and cut it into half. Open up the capsule or whatever it takes and do a small dose. So it means that you need it. Okay. You're okay, Mark Schaefer. My score is 55. Yeah, you got some work to do. Yeah, cool. We'll talk. Yeah, methylene blue. It's well researched, and my friends who are holistic medical doctors, they love it and they use it. I don't use it. I think my herbs work better. I use my herbs. I think they're totally awesome. So I'm not even going to carry methylene blue. Um, okay. Okay, going back to TikTok. Yeah, Elaine, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, cool. Gosh, TikTok's giving me more messages than anybody else. Um, I've seen people, Henny says, I've seen people do a 40-day fast. Would you recommend, and does your office monitor a person doing this? So 40-day fast is pretty biblical and phenomenal. I would never recommend anybody do it. You can do it. I'm not going to monitor somebody doing it. I've had people do 2 weeks of fasting on, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, because then you lose a bunch of weight, then you gain your weight back. So, but the point is, it can really activate your mitochondria, get rid of old cells, bring in new cells. And you could do dry fasting, like 1 day of dry fasting means no water, no food. 1 day of dry fasting equals 5 days of water fasting. But then what? Then you have to learn how to eat. The most important thing is eat better and detox. So does fasting really detox your body quite well? I don't really know. I mean, sauna does probably a better job for detoxing, but the pills that I use, I'm a big fan of the binders that I use for detoxing. I have clinical proof that they work. And then you don't have to fast and suffer from the fasting. But yeah, it's up to you. Um, okay. Stay energized and recharged. Okay, enjoy my time working. Okay, good. Okay, other questions? Yeah, so Sherry says, trying methylene blue and red light therapy this last 30 days. So it'd be good if you ran MVX and did a before and after test, because there are studies that show that red light therapy can reduce your blood sugar if you do it like 15 minutes a day for, let's say, 30 days or more, and have like an actual physiological benefit. But again, does it lower MVX? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it's amazing. So all right, cool. So I think I'm going to end off because it's been, I don't know how long it's been, long enough. And it's 10:30 my time. That means I need to get to bed. So sleep is important. Let's not forget about sleep. Okay, cool. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me, and um and I will be in on some Sundays at random times, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I don't know. I'm not gonna like set up an actual set schedule, but yeah, I'm shooting for uh, Sundays. Mr. Rudy, methylene blue is an allopathic joke, but you do you. LOL. Yeah, I don't do methylene blue. I don't carry it. I'm not recommending it because I got the herbs. One more time, what's the website? It's the nhcaa.com, which stands for the Nutritional Healing Center Ann Arbor. So the nhcaa.com. All right, cool. So I'm gonna log off. See you guys later. Bye.